What's up, guys? Welcome to the Flip Connect Media Cast. My name is Ben Lovero, your host. We got Brent Moreno in the house today. Brent spent the past 11 plus years marketing for brands like MTV, Budweiser, 5 Hour Energy, Jack Links, and more. Discovering wholesaling in January of 2017 and studied up until April. Took massive action in May, and he got his first deal of the year in the business, closed, and 20 deals after that, producing over $200,000. Brent is now a partner at Mississippi Home Buyers alongside Big Sip, Adam Johnson. In 2018, Mississippi Home Buyers did over 60 deals. Their goal now is to do over 120 deals for 2019 to pick up 10 rentals, 4 of which have already been picked up. Brent's main focus in the business is marketing alongside Adam, and they are making ginormous steps in their coaching program. Adam's the negotiator of the business, and the main focus with this is helping homeowners to sell their homes. In turn, they're doing fix and flip, wholesale, lease options, and tons of creative investment strategies for investing across the board. Brent is the host of Real Estate Roundup, live Q&As, and is soon to be a podcast. Along with Adam, they produce free content for investors of all experience levels. Everything works if you do. Brent, welcome on board, bro.
Thanks for having me on, Ben. Always a pleasure. Ben and I go back a little ways. Some of you guys don't know that I was in Columbia, South Carolina for several years when I first started my business, Cash Homes Carolina. We were in Columbia, and Ben and I became really good friends. So love seeing what you're doing. And that's pretty much about it, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. I appreciate you. You guys are doing some things, man. Just adding extreme value, bro. That's what it's all about. So first off, man, we're going to jump into the mindset aspects of this business because I truly believe that this is one of the most important tools, hands down. So tell me a little bit about your theory behind mindset and why it is so important.
So there's a couple of mindsets, right? There's a mindset when you're going into a house, and there's a mindset for your business in general, right? My mindset going into a house, if I'm going, this is kind of a negotiation mindset, is I'm going in understanding that I don't have to have this deal. It's not necessary. So I'm a little standoffish. I'm very casual. And my goal and my mindset there is to truly try to help the individual and figure out what their problem is and how can I solve it. This business is a lot about problem solving. And if you can figure out how to help people instead of going in and haggling with people, you will go a lot farther in this business than you will going as just shooting, a bunch of low ball numbers, pointing everything out that's something wrong with the house, instead of building that rapport with people to really get into their issues, talk about what's going on, and then paint that picture of what it'll be like when you solve all their problems. Versus, we've gotten plenty of houses that we paid less than what someone else was offering because we had that rapport built.
That's right.
And there's even been times where we come back and we made more money than we thought, and we ended up giving the seller some more money, which is, always a huge surprise for them. But all that does is build rapport beyond that. So if they ever need anybody or never know anyone that needs some help, then that's a great rapport builder that they come back and they share our story with others. So that's one mindset. For the mindset as far as the business goes, you have to treat this like a business, whether you're working full-time, part-time, whatever your case may be, your mindset every single day. I mean, when I get you guys, if you don't know Grant Cardone, which you should, I'm imagine, let's see if I can't clear my screen real quick, is who's got my money? Every single day.
Yeah.
I'm waking up, who's got my money? I turn around, look on our board, and I go, okay, there's all my money. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's not including some other deals that we've already got under contract and working on getting sold. But there's, March is probably lining up to be $100,000 a month because every single day I wake up with a mission of who's got a house, who's trying to sell, and we don't spend a lot of money on marketing. We spend very little money on marketing. I use a lot of this. Adam uses a lot of this. We talk to people. We talk to everyone we know. Everyone that knows us knows what we do and how they can help. So every now and then I get a phone call from the duct cleaning guy that I know, and he calls and he's like, this guy needs to sell his house. but we went and locked it up. It's a rental that we now have, owner finance at 4% interest over 30 years, and it's going to cash flow about $350 a month. Needed no work, no money down. So huge, right?
Yep.
But all that came from just talking to people. Like if I didn't tell that person what I did and how he could help, he would have never sent me that. And he didn't even know he was going to get a kickback for it. It was just a general conversation. I ended up sending him a $500 check just for giving me the guy's number to call. So I say no money down. It did cost us $500, but I'll pay that any day.
Take care of your network.
Same thing. The other three that we just picked up, 3% interest. I forget how many years or how many payments, but 3% interest, $300. It's a lot with a house, a mobile home, and a spot for another mobile home for $300 a month. And we don't have to pay, and we're not paying anything until we fix it up and put tenants in it.
Heck yeah.
No money down, no payments until we get tenants.
That's huge.
Now we have, in the span of the last 2 months, just from talking to people, this one came from Adam going to a yard sale and asking the lady if the yard was for sale and if the house came with it. And she kind of laughed about it, and she's like, no, and she's like, I'm not trying to sell the house, and I don't have anything for sale. And her friend kind of, what about those rental properties you have, or whatever? He's, oh my gosh, I've forgotten all about those. Her husband owned them. Husband passed away. She wasn't cut out for managing them. She got tired of it, so she kicked everybody out, and they've been empty for 2 years. She just completely had written it off.
Wow.
So little things like that, right? That's 4 rental properties we're going to have in our portfolio just for talking to people. That's it, right? You can only imagine doing that 5, 6, 7 more times. What your cash flow situation looks like. It's, by the end of the year, my goal was to have around $10,000 a month passive, and I think we should be able to hit that pretty quickly.
I love it. Beginning, I picked up on some John Martinez negotiation training where you're just adding extreme value to the point where at the end of your appointment, the seller recognizes their need for you, right? That's the goal. You want to just pay it forward, give value, express exactly what you do, how you can be of assistance, and it's not always one-sided. As a negotiator, you got to walk around every single angle and be able to identify how can we possibly serve these people and help them out in this situation. That's huge.
I mean, one of the big things is like you'll have some people who won't give you a price for the house. Well, just make me an offer. Those are hardliners, right? And my response to that is usually, look, I'm a helper. I'm not a haggler. I don't want to haggle with you. If you want to haggle, I can do that. I just prefer my method is to figure out if I can make your number work and come back and tell you, yes, I can make it work at this, or no, I can't make it work, and here's why. That's gold. Even if we don't buy it, I'll still help you any way I can. Whether that be pointing pointing you to somebody who can do the contracting, or pointing you to a good realtor, or whatever the case may be. I want to help you, but I'm not going to sit here and haggle with you. If you want me to haggle, then here's $5. You start with your number, and we'll figure it out. We'll beat each other up till we get that price that makes sense. I don't want to do that. I'd much rather just come in. If I can make your number work, awesome. That's the goal, right? If I can't, I'll tell you why. And then you can decide from there whether or not that makes sense. And if it doesn't, that's fine. I'm completely okay with that. But I just know that I will still help you and point you in the right direction if it's something that you want.
That's huge. That's a huge nugget right there. That's a number one objection annihilation right there.
And I picked up something the other day. I was listening to it. It kind of reminded me of a lot of what we do. I was listening to one of Steve Train's interviews. I forget the guy's name, but he had some very, very insightful knowledge when it comes to dealing with competition as well. I was like, I'll have to use that. One of the things that he mentioned was, if you go in, they tell you that there's a realtor coming to look at the house, or there's other investors coming to look at the house, just immediately take your hat off and say, or whatever the case may be, just even if it's imaginary, like, I'm going to take my buying cap off because I'm not here. I'm not going to buy this house. And they're going to go, what? I was like, no, I'm not going to buy this house because you have other people coming to look at it. Me giving you a number is just going to basically give you a number to give to them, and then I'm going to end up buying it anyways for a higher price. But I'm not going to come back to you and beat myself up over it. So here's the goal here. If you're going to have a realtor come look at it, make sure the realtors will give you a number that you want to hear. They tell you what you want to hear, and then if the house is going to sell for 150, they'll tell you to sell for 170 to get the contract, and then a month later they tell you to move the price down, and then move the price down, and move the price down until it gets to where it'll actually sell. Make sure that realtor gives you a number that they think it can sell in 30 days, or else they remove their commission down to 1%. And most people don't know you can do that. So if you do take that, and then that's how you deal with realtors. If it's other investors, we're in a good situation where I don't have to worry about it too much, because I can go, look, make sure their contract's not assignable, because this is what they're trying to do. Make sure they have proof of funds in their name, not from a institution or whatever, because there's people that will print those out. So make sure that at least at the very minimum that they can do those two things, and that they put a large put at least 2% down on earnest money deposit. So all the things I don't want to do, but I will do if it's a really good deal, I'm going to put out there and tell them, hey, this is the advice you need if you're going to have other investors come look at it.
I dig it. That's awesome. And that's kind of a transition since, operations in Colombia and how that looked. So it's interesting to see the progression. As you grow, you accumulate more knowledge, you have more tools in your toolbox, and it just gives you a leg up. That's awesome.
I mean, a lot of that comes with having a really good team behind you, right?
Yep.
I don't per se want to go put 2 or 3% down on earnest money deposit, whatever. I'm fine with doing that if it's what it takes to get the deal done. But I know that I don't have to put my own money up for that, because we have a strong team, and then we like to talk about how investing is a team sport. And I'll take it a little bit one step farther. I mean, obviously my wife is an attorney. She handles all of our closings now. But she's part of the team. So she's in on everything. We have a really great relationship with a couple of realtors in the area. They bring us deals, or they bring us buyers all the time. We have a great relationship with a banker here. We have a great relationship with Adam's dad, of course, who has has over 40 rentals in the area and has been investing for over 40 years. But investing, like I said, we have a great insurance agent as well. So investing is definitely a team sport. Know everyone. If it's any way kind of linked to this business, you should know somebody in that business. Mortgage brokers, realtors, insurance agents, attorneys. Like, you should have really good relationships with all those people, because not one person can know everything, and somebody's going to be better at something than you are. And if you can recognize your strengths and weaknesses and figure out who to surround yourself with to better perform, then you're going to go a long way.
Your network is your net worth at the end of the day.
Exactly.
What would you say some common mistakes people should avoid early on in their investing, wholesaling career?
Early mistakes, I would say, is getting shiny object syndrome. Some people are fortunate to not have a lot of money. I say that's a little bit of a blessing, only because it makes you work harder, and it makes you learn the fundamentals, and it makes you not make mistakes, because a mistake could cost you money, right?
That's right.
So don't take not having a lot of money as a disadvantage. Take it as a challenge to out hustle the people with the most money, because you're going to find things. There's major wholesalers and stuff all over the country, but there's plenty of tiny guys that are still getting deals, still making a living that you may have never even heard of, because they know how to out hustle. And then they'll eventually get to the point where they can spend a bunch of money on marketing. But shiny object syndrome is simply just everyone's got some kind of secret to sell you. Everyone's got some kind of course to sell you. Everyone's got something they want to sell you that, oh, this works and this works and this works. And that's why I always say everything works if you do. There's not been a single form of marketing that I've ever used that I didn't get a deal from, except for maybe those little money cards that look like money, and it's got your number on the back of it. But I also didn't use them. I still got stacks and stacks of them that I never really used, because I didn't really know how to use them other than, maybe throwing them in a handwritten letter or something, and just something kind of like, oh, there's $100 bill in here, and they open it and they go, oh, no, it's not. It's a note. But everything works. Bandit signs works. PPC works. Facebook works. Cold calling works. Driving for dollars works. I mean, everything you can think of works. But this is the thing. If you're going to pick, you need to pick one strategy and become the master of that strategy, and learn how to do it and be really effective at it until you can scale it to the point of no return, and then move to another form of marketing.
Yep.
You go and take your money and go and start taking the shotgun approach, well, you're not going to be very accurate, and you're gonna mess up, and you're gonna waste a lot of money, and you're gonna say this doesn't work or this doesn't work in my area. This is not true. You just weren't consistent enough, and you weren't taking as a business approach. If you're going to do any form of marketing, you need to do it consistently for 3 months. So if you're going to do bandit signs and you say, I want to put out 50 signs a week, you need to put out 50 signs a week for 3 months. And that will definitely get you a deal, guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
You know your numbers. That's another thing. Starting out, I feel like there's going to be regulation coming, and it's kind of our fault. It's a lot of our faults because everybody sees big, nice checks on social media, and they go, oh, I can do this. This is easy. It's simple. It's not easy, if that makes any sense. This business is very simple to understand, but it's not easy. It takes work. It takes work to build it, to build a team, to scale it. It takes a lot of work to get to those levels where you're just constantly cashing a lot of those big checks you see. But just know, education is very important. I continue to educate myself. I'm constantly going to conferences. I'm constantly buying courses. Even if sometimes they're not even real estate related, they might be business related, they might be marketing related, whatever the case may be. I'm always educating myself, always trying to learn something new. And if you take that approach, you'll do fine. But if you take the approach of, well, I'm just going to go get a contract, and you and me and everybody else have all seen it where we walked in the house, somebody already had a contract, never closed on it because it was too high, or they get another offer other than yours, and guess what happens? You see it come back in your inbox, and you're like, no one's going to pay that. And typically no one ever does.
Yep.
I've had plenty of times where somebody called me back 30, 40 days later and like, hey, is your offer still good? And usually my offer is going to be a little bit less.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've wasted time and money and energy, and I try to tell them ahead of time that this is what's going to happen. And it does happen 9 times out of 10 because I know my numbers, I know my market, I know what's going to happen, and I know there's no buyers that are out there paying that kind of price. And if they are, if it does sell, I'm going to go find who that buyer is and make sure they buy from me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. Let's talk about your transition from corporate marketing to real estate investing. Do you feel like your past experience and positions have given you a leg up as far as understanding the importance of marketing?
I would say, I wouldn't necessarily say it gave me a leg up because nothing that I use. So I did experiential marketing, right? So like I would go to events and I would set up. So if you ever went to a race or a Super Bowl or a football game or anything like that, to where there's stuff set up outside for interactive for brands to promote their business, I would go and set all those up. So I would go set those up for the brand. Sometimes I would plan them and do all the planning and execution and everything. Sometimes I was just there just to execute. So there were a lot of things that I learned as far as how important marketing is and how big businesses treat marketing. I was in on the inner levels at Jack Links. We did all the planning and stuff like that ourselves. But as far as like using it as a leg up, I've always understood the importance of marketing and how it can be effective in your business because I've been in it for so long. I know how much money these businesses spend on it. So I realize there's the importance of it, but I also understand that like it wasn't necessarily something that gave me a leg up in the sense of marketing for houses. It just made me realize that I needed to set a portion of my budget back to spend on marketing. And we do 10% of every single deal stays in an account for marketing and expenses.
Love it. Tell us a little bit about the Mississippi Home Buyers operation. What exactly does that look like? What are the roles, responsibilities? What's the team look like?
So Mississippi Home Buyers, there are, we have 2 acquisitions guys, not including ourselves. So we have one guy up in North Mississippi. He's covering DeSoto and Lafayette, which is like Hernando and Oxford, which some of you may know that's University of Ole Miss or Ole Miss, University of Mississippi. Yeah. And then we're here in Hattiesburg, which is University of Southern Miss. We cover 2 counties here, 2 counties up north, and then we cover the coastal counties We have an acquisition manager there covering those counties. And then we have my cold caller, and that's pretty much about it as far as team-wise goes. Me and Adam kind of run everything. Adam's dad handles our books. So he handles the books, and then we cut everything out from there. And let's see. I think that's pretty much it. So we focus on the majority of our business is wholesaling. I would say probably 20% of it is flipping, and 20% of it is probably trying to structure creative deals. So like we have going on right now, too. They were behind on payments. We caught those payments up. They're only 2 months behind. So we caught those payments up. It was like $2,800. Caught those payments up. Took mortgage over subject to. Went in and put $65,000 in rehab. They owed $102,000. We told them we'd give them $8,000 if we sold it for over $200,000. We just got the offer on it yesterday for $237,500.
Oh,
so that should be about $55,000 after everything's said and done, with only $65,000 in it. Well, a little over $65,000 by the time you count closing costs and to catch up with the mortgage and stuff. But we're putting $70,000 out and getting $60,000 back, or $55,000 or $60,000 back. I'll take that as a cash on cash. So you can look at that deal one or two ways, right? We would have took it. We would have paid it if we had to. We would have paid the $102,000 that they owed plus the $8,000, and then went in and flipped it and everything else. That would have been all fine and dandy, but what is your cash on cash return at? It's not near as good as putting $65,000 out and making $60,000 versus putting $170,000 out and making $60,000, right? So we try to get creative that way. And then obviously, the owner finance stuff, anything that's free and clear, our goal is immediately to try to get it on terms to keep for ourselves, because we realize that passive income is way better than wholesaling. I mean, it just really depends on where you're at in your business. If you need the cash, take the cash. But if you can put an asset in your business and it's no money down and you get good terms on it, that note is almost worth, some of these notes that we're writing are almost worth more than the property.
It's crazy.
So our main focus is that, like I said, again, more so helping people, and just, like I said, it's all about helping people. We want to be the best solution for everyone. And if we can't be, we want to try to point them in the direction of the best solution. And we walked in houses and they wanted us to buy it. And said, look, it's not for us. This is what we would suggest doing. You should just list this with a realtor. If you need one, here's a really great realtor, yada, yada, and go from there. So we're not afraid to do that if that's their best choice to make.
That's right. Focus on serving, right? Focus on solutions. Always add value, because at the end of the day, that's how you truly build relationships. That's how you build open, honest businesses, integrity. It's all solution-based. What's your largest superpower, Brent?
I don't know. For me, it would probably be just the ability to network and make friends. I feel like I'm very comfortable doing that, as long as you're in a conversation. You're having an intelligent conversation about something that I enjoy. If you're talking about the Kardashians, I'm probably not going to have much to say much to add to the conversation. But if you're talking about real estate or money or anything like that, I'm usually or baseball. And if you're any one of those three, I'm usually all ears and can provide some kind of input to that conversation. But I mean, networking has always been my key. There's pretty much anywhere in the country I can go that I have, I'll have a friend there, just from my years of traveling. But, that was always very important to me. It's like whenever I go somewhere, I have somebody to hang out with and talk to. So I kind of miss it a little bit, only in the sense of that, all my friends live all over the country and I don't get to see them. Fortunately, I got married in October, so I got to see a lot of them then. But I don't know when the next time I'll get to see everybody else is again, unless I just say, hey, there's a open bar party on this day, you come out.
That'll bring the crowd out.
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce that you either believe brings the greatest fulfillment or the greatest success in life?
The secret sauce, I mean, that's going to be different for everybody, right? I mean,
what's yours? What's your secret sauce?
I mean, for me, it's what's my secret sauce? That's a good question. I mean, I would say for me, it's just more about taking things. I'm a very passive kind of guy. I let things kind of roll off of me. I don't get offended very easily. Actually, I don't. I mean, it's almost impossible to offend me in any kind of way. Living on the road, doing rock and roll shows for years, kind of makes it almost impossible to be offended.
Yeah.
But I would say just, taking everything with kind of, as a grain of salt. Don't get too caught up on things that don't really matter. That's really my thing, because I used to let things bother me a lot. And when I started just letting go of those things that are out of my control that I can't do, I only try to take that lesson and say, well, how can I improve that? How can I improve that image of myself? Or how can I improve this situation? Or how can I do something better? So just learning from mistakes, or learning from past experiences on how to improve things going forward is kind of like, I would say, my secret sauce. Just taking things as a grain of salt, learning from it, and moving forward is kind of where I'm at. Because all the things that I tell people not to do are all things that I've done and made the mistakes of, right? It's kind of like your parents. Your parents tell you don't do this, and don't do that. 9 times out of 10, the kids are going to do it anyways, just because they're being told not to do it. They want to go do it. So I can't make, it's like I tell everybody, I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink, right? I can tell you exactly, lay it out step by step, how to go get your first deal. It doesn't mean it's going to happen.
That's good.
You still have to take the action. I can take it to the water. You just got to learn to drink it.
Let's shift gears a little bit, dive into some of the coaching and the courses that you've created. Tell us a little bit about the progression of that and what your long-term vision is.
Well, you know me, man. I'm very humble. I don't push it. We don't push our mentorship. We don't push our courses. Like, I think I did like one big launch for the Facebook course that I produced. So Facebook for us is by far our number one lead source here in our market. It's what's gotten us those 2 flips up there that are going to produce over $100,000. Everything goes correctly. It's produced probably 30, I would say average of 30 leads a month on like $1,000 a month budget.
Retargeting mostly?
So a lot of that's retargeting. Retargeting is absolute key. If you're doing Facebook ads, you need to make sure you have your pixel installed and doing retargeting. So I was doing it for myself. I spent probably around $2,000 or $3,000 on Facebook courses just to learn how to do it for my business. There was no course out there for real estate investors. There was courses out there for how to start your own marketing agency, doing Facebook, whatever. And now I do some of that as well because it was a picked up skill. The office that I'm in, I don't pay a single dime for each month. As a matter of fact, they actually pay me every month. I think it's like $300 because I have 3 office spaces in this building, which were $200 a month, and they're paying me $300 a month to be here because I'm doing marketing for their cryogenic center next door. So that's, so I picked up those skills, but I realized there was no course for real estate investors, and everyone was asking me questions about how to set up Facebook ads and everything else. And I was like, well, there's not enough time in the day to really explain to one person exactly how to lay everything out. So I'm just going to create something for them. So I took all the things that I was doing in my business and I basically laid it out step by step in that course on how to set up Facebook ads. That's working for us. And I continue to kind of update it. I'm working on a one for chatbots right now that is kind of working in our business right now, doing really good. And I'm going to add that to the course as well. So that's what's going on with that. As far as the mentorship goes, we do like once a quarter. I mean, we're talking about doing it once a quarter, but we'll take anywhere from 5 to 10 students. We don't want to overload ourselves because behind me is the business, and that's always going to be the business. But we keep it affordable. I think right now it's at $4,000, and it's a 6-week mentorship, and you get access to the Facebook course. We're shooting video for creative finance course and a negotiations course, and all that will be included in it, as well as a ticket to an event that we're hosting later this year with the dates to be determined. I'm actually, the while we've been sitting here, the casino has been trying to call me back to figure out whether or not we're going to sign a contract on the venue space or not. So we're looking at dates right now in Biloxi for an event. Probably keep it kind of small. 150 is kind of like our target to hit, and we'll keep it under $500 so everyone can afford it and come out. I don't like, even for me, like I don't like to spend more than $500 to go to an event unless it's a very, very niche event, right? If it's learning how to invest out of a 401k, or learning financial principles and financial calculators and compound interest and things like that. Again, I'm getting it's stuff I can apply in real estate, but they're not all necessarily real estate related. Those are the kinds of events I'm starting to kind of lean towards and go to, as far as like how to be a better business owner versus learning about real estate. I'm always learning about real estate, but those things are kind of on my list now to go and do. But yeah, the mentorship is going good. The Facebook course, like again, I don't even promote it. You will never see an ad on Facebook with a sponsored post or anything like that. We will see it. It's just kind of everyone in our group. If you want it, it's there. I don't really push it very hard. If not, that's not that big of a deal again, because my main business is behind me. But the mentorship and stuff, we take a lot of pride in. We got one student right now who's just absolutely crushing it. He's up in North Mississippi. He's done, since January, I want to say he's done 8 or 9 deals since the beginning of January. And he just started in November. So I would say his money was well spent. And what's funny, after like the second or third week, he was like, I feel like I'm just spinning on my wheels. Like I'm not getting anything done. So we sat down with him. We had a long conversation on the phone with him about, look, these are like this is why you're spinning your wheels. You're wasting time on this. We didn't tell you to do that. Do this. And he just went after it ever since, man. He calls me like almost every day. Got another contract. Just crushing it up there because he took action.
That's it. I know we hear about a lot of the big wins in the business. Everyone's posting these huge checks and everything else. What would you say one of the largest struggles that you've had to face either in life or your business this past year?
I mean, I had a loss. I actually had a loss in South Carolina. It wasn't a huge loss, but it was like $1,200. It was a subject to deal. We went in to go flip. We got the square footage wrong by a couple hundred square feet. The tax records were off. Zillow was off. Everything was off. So when we went and got it measured, it was a couple hundred square feet smaller, which really, really, really hurt us a lot, especially when you're talking like 130 a foot. Which may not be nothing if you're in California, but in South Carolina or Mississippi, it's a nice neighborhood. Sells for 130, 150 a foot. Those were usually nicer neighborhoods. That was a lesson I learned. Make sure you have your measurements. Don't always trust what's there. Other than that, I would say don't try to do too much at one time. Again, like I have the knowledge and experience to do the Facebook marketing for businesses. I brought on a couple of clients, and most of them were local here because they were all referrals, and they just expected way too much of my time. And I just didn't have it. I didn't have the time to give them because I'm busy scaling and growing this business. Like I don't even have any employees other than me and Adam, and then our couple acquisitions guys and stuff. Like I don't really have anyone here to just send people on stuff or just do this or do that, right? So we're trying to grow it and scale it and add more people. But I was taking on clients in this Facebook business, and they were just wanting way too much of my time to where now I just turn most people away unless you're just going to cut me a really nice check or give me something like an office space. And it's not something that's not so difficult because most of them were people that were really hard people to get leads for anyways, like contractors and auto dealerships and stuff like that. And I would also do realtors, and my realtor ads would work like gangbusters, but they would always, they're not that great at leads. Like you got 130 leads this month. You tell me one of those, not a single one of them. They all clicked on a real estate related ad. They all put their information in to be called, and you tell me you didn't get a single deal out of it. That's not my fault. That's your responsibility to sell it. My responsibility is to make the phone ring. And the phone's ringing. and it's ringing with people who either want to sell their house or want to buy a house. You're a realtor, figure it out. But that's one of the biggest things, trying to do too many things. I was trying to do that and do this and then run South Carolina as well, to where now I'm pretty much completely out of South Carolina unless something pops up on my website. Other than that, I'm planning on getting back into South Carolina, but my focus right now is on this business to scale it, put the right people in place, and then I can go back into South Carolina and pick up where I left off.
That's it. That's it. I always like to wrap it up with the same two questions, man. First one, what's the best book you've read and the number one thing that you've learned from that book?
Well, I mean, my favorite book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that's most people's. If you haven't read that book, then absolutely you need to get that right now and read it. I read it forever and a day ago. I read it before I even thought about getting into real estate. And it changed my mindset almost immediately to getting out of working for somebody else to working for myself, but not only just be working for myself, but it gives you the information like a lot of people think they work for themselves. They own a business, they're a business owner, they're self-employed, they're not a business owner. And those two things are totally different, right? A business owner owns a system that's in place. And if you're self-employed, that means you work for yourself and you're slaving to death, right? Now don't get that confused with being lazy. It takes time, right? It takes time to build that system and perfect it. And it's never going to necessarily I don't ever see this being a perfect business model. It's always going to be something's going to need to be changed or something's going to need to, it's like nothing's going to run as smoothly as you want. But knowing the difference between being self-employed and a business owner is a big, 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 big thing. And knowing how to scale your business and put the right people in place, those things are huge, because there's no way we could tackle all those leads or all those houses by ourselves, because they're all over the state. We have the right people in place, we have the right systems in place, and we're continuing to grow and scale that, which is why we're doing our YouTube stuff, is that now we're shooting video, everything that we're doing. So you can see how we're going from like a 60 deals a year business with very little marketing, just, word of mouth, Facebook, and some, very cheap stuff, nothing crazy. We do very targeted direct mail, to how we're going to scale that to even bigger and better, because now we're tracking everything. We know what our numbers are. So now we can, if it costs $1,000 to get one house, then we spend $2,000, we should get two, right? So on and so forth. So we're filming all that and throwing it on our YouTube at Wholesale Hackers. If you guys want to go to that and subscribe, that'd be awesome. We're filming all that, and we're going to start adding our weekly content, or not weekly. We're going to try to do bi-weekly vlogs that show you exactly what we're doing in our business at that time. So you'll be able to watch it, see what we're doing, take some content away, take some nuggets, and learn how to scale your business as well.
That's awesome. I love it. What's your favorite quote and why?
If you can have everything in life you want, if you just help enough people get what they want. It's a Zig Ziglar quote.
Value driven. That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
And
man.
I firmly believe that in any business that you're in any kind of sale, if your cars, whatever, everything is driven by sales in this world, right? If you truly go in with the mindset is that I can have everything I want if I just help enough people get what they want, right? That's what I'm doing when I go into a house.
That's it.
What do you want? How can I help you? How can I help you get what you want? That's my goal, is to figure out how I can help you get what you want. And it may sometimes be something that's so outrageous and out of the ordinary that it makes for a dang good story when I talk about how we picked up the house.
That's it.
Right? I know Pete Fortunato talks about how he got a roof for a dump truck. His roof was going to cost like $15,000, and the roofer needed a dump truck. And he's like, well, I know a guy trying to sell a dump truck right now for $6,000. He went and bought the dump truck and traded it for him for the roof. He just created value out of thin air. So he just saved himself like $10,000 or $15,000 by going. The numbers could be wrong. I can't remember at this point in time, but either way, you get the gist of it. It's thinking there is no box.
Yep.
When you start getting creatively and understanding what you can do inside of real estate, there really is no box. If you can think it, you can do it. Just you got to put it on paper and have an attorney that knows how to make sense of it.
It's interesting to see how marketing has changed so radically the past several years too. Like it used to be, you could just throw out a bait and switch and, someone's going to click on your ad, commit to your product, go through. But with the rapid increase of technology, like you have so much stuff at your fingertips that you can go check out different products and you can look at what other people have to offer, price, value, all that stuff right at your fingertips. So the approach is starting to shift where you have to be completely and utterly transparent, right? You can't just throw out a bait and switch. Now it's so value driven, which is awesome. And the winner is always going to be the person that's adding the most value and giving the most information, most sales, whatever the case might be, giving the more stuff away. It's huge.
I'm trying to think of the one. One of my other favorite ones is the relief of stress is often greater than price. So people look at houses as like an asset or it's worth X amount of dollars. It's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it first and foremost. But the people stress behind that house, they're behind on their bills or they're behind on taxes or they just don't have the money to fix it up and it's just rotten or whatever the case may be, the stress that they're facing or they need money to pay for bills, whatever. The relief of solving that, of getting out of that stress is often greater than the price that they have and the price that you think they're going to take for the house, right? So there's deals that we get all the time that people, if I tell you about it, they'll go, who would do that? Well, obviously, if you were in their shoes, you may consider it, but it's not conventional. But nothing that we do is conventional. If you want conventional, you just go list it with a realtor and pay your commissions and closing costs. If you want somebody to help you with your problem, you call us.
Every situation is different, but in many cases, price is not even the main objection. It's not.
We don't even talk about price.
Yeah.
Very rarely we even talk about price until like the very end. By then, we probably already talked to them for an hour and a half about their cousin, their brother, where they're from, who they're. I want to know everything about them that I can that they're willing to share with me.
That's it.
Right. I want to build rapport so that wall starts to come down and they really start to tell me. Most people aren't going to tell you what all their problems are until they build some trust. Once you have trust with them and you have that rapport, then they'll tell you really what's going on.
That's right. Yeah, it's your job to uncover those pain points, right? You want them to walk you through their situation so you can analyze and figure out exactly what angle you're going to tackle that from, right? Right. We're here to serve and we're here to give people what they need, which is not always what they necessarily want, right? But you're coming from a place of service, you're identifying exactly what they need and you're going in and adding value. It's huge. Yep. That's huge.
Absolutely.
Tell us the best way for people to find you online.
So you can find me on Instagram. My username is Mr. Sippy, MisterSippi, or on the Real Estate Roundup Facebook group. That's the best place to get a hold of me. It's where we do all our live Q&As every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Those are the two best places to find me, Facebook, Instagram. And you can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/Wholesale Hackers. You can find all of our videos there. So I think last night was Tuesday night was episode 30. So we've done 30 episodes since I got back home in June. So
I love it. I've never done this before, but why don't you give the viewers some homework for this next week? Give them some homework that's going to help them elevate their business, their life, or their mindset.
All right. So I'll give you some homework. If you want a deal done, I'll give you homework for the month. If you guys are listening and you haven't done a deal, I will give you the path to how to go get your first deal in the next 30 days. If you know your numbers and you know your market, this is very crucial. So if you don't know your numbers, your homework is to go read a book. There's hundreds of them. Flipping Properties. Sean Terry's got a free one. If you can't wholesale out for this, I got nothing for you. It's another great one. So any of those books, if you don't know the numbers, you're not confident with the numbers, go read that and understand how you got to, how to set up a deal. After that, if you want a deal, literally, I'm telling you right now, if you just go find 25 properties a week, driving for dollars, that's 100 a month. So 25 a minimum. I can do that in 2 hours around here. So if you work full time and you got the weekend off, you got kids or whatever, take the kids with you. They'll help you. Whatever the case may be. 25, a minimum of 25. I'd say 50, but a minimum of 25 properties that are clearly vacant. Find those owners. Look them up on white pages or True People Search, whatever's free. Call them up. See if they want to sell the house. Set an appointment. Go get it under contract. That's 100 leads in 1 month. Out of those 100 guaranteed vacant properties, if you don't get a deal, I've got nothing for you.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, seriously, 100 vacant properties a month. If you don't get a deal out of that, or at least get really, really close to getting a deal and sniffing one out, I got nothing for you, because that's literally how easy it is, as long as you know your numbers and make sure it's a deal. And I'll also say this as well: stop shooting for the moon. A lot of you guys out here shooting. I mean, yeah, I've split a deal that was $60,000 assignment. I've made $30,000 assignments. Never was my intention going in. My intention was to get at the numbers I needed it at, and if the buyers bid it up, that's on the buyers. My intention is to get at the numbers I know are good. So I know it's a deal, because again, I'm here to serve. I don't want to waste their time, nor my time, or my buyer's time by getting a deal that's not a deal under contract.
That's it.
So
That's it.
I would say there's your homework for the week or month.
That's it. Well, thank you again for coming on, bro. You're crushing it. Big fan of what you guys are doing out there in Mississippi, man. Keep on adding value, man, and changing lives.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, man.